Let's do this first. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone doing this evening? Just want to double check and make sure we are streaming live. So just give me one second to verify all of our links just to make sure everything is working. Here, one more second and we'll get started. Ready? Let's do this one here. Let's see.
Lynda.com makes games for rating.
This. Let's do this. And let's do this. And we are live. Very, very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to double check everything. Make sure that the volume is working. And we are live. Very, very good. All right. All right, very good. So we're good. Everything is working fine. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Warren Nelson. I am a real estate instructor, a real estate director, a real estate broker, a real estate investor, a real estate educator. The list goes on and on and on. I've been doing this for a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. And suffice it to say, through all the years of experience, I am qualified to educate you in the field of real estate. And that qualification also is bona fide and licensed by the state. Anytime that you want to get into real estate and start learning real estate, ladies and gentlemen, one of the first things that you should do is check out the facility that you are planning on using to get your real estate license. And the way that you can do that is by going to the Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs website, Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs, and check out the school. See if they have any disciplinary action against them. See if they are a licensed facility to teach the class, and do a little bit of background search on the school that you are going to be investing in to hopefully get your real estate license. You need to be very careful, ladies and gentlemen, because in real estate, there is a lot of individuals and entities out there that will try to convince you that you can get rich in real estate. You can get wealthy in real estate simply by taking their course or by taking their program or subscribing to them in a regular manner. So you will learn how to get rich in real estate. I'm going to caution you, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no get rich quick scheme out there in the real estate arena. If you want to be wealthy, then the secret to success is you have to work to succeed. There's no get rich. Even if you manage to make $30,000, $40,000 on a deal, are you rich? Not really. $30,000, $40,000 does not make you rich, ladies and gentlemen. And so a lot of programs would teach you to go into debt by using other people's money. That would not be a wise choice, ladies and gentlemen, because then you'll end up working for your investors and not working for yourself and trying to make your investors money where you're doing all the work to try to reward them for investing in yours, your endeavor, your real estate plans. And that's not going to work very well either, as you'll find out. The only way that I would use other people's money in real estate is to buy your own property and get a mortgage, to get a loan to buy the property. I would never recommend taking on investors, but I would recommend taking on a loan. And so a loan, which is typically what everybody usually does to buy a property, and ultimately that property turns out to be very rewarding for them. Many folks took a loan to buy a property, not for that property to be an investment, not for them to make money, but to have a very nice place to raise their family. And instead of renting an apartment, every time they make a mortgage payment, they're building wealth. Every time you make a rent payment, you just get deeper in debt. You just go backwards when you make rent payments. But the landlord is happy about your rent payment because you're building wealth for your landlord because the landlord's mortgage is being paid every time you make a rent payment. So what you want to do is stop making rent payments and start making a mortgage payment because every time you make a mortgage payment, you are building wealth. Your equity in the property is building. And one day, that property that you bought through a 30-year loan, let's just say 12 years later, 7 years later, 20 years later, 10 years later, somewhere in the future, you decide that you want to sell that property. Well, guess what? You will be selling it most likely for more than you paid for it. So if you bought the property 10 years ago for 100,000 and now you're selling it for 200,000, well, even though it was probably not your intention to make money off of the property, you were just looking for some place to live and enjoy and grow your family in. Well, turns out 10 years later, you are making about $100,000 on the sale of this property. And it turned out that that was a great investment that you bought 10 years ago. And aren't you happy? Aren't you glad that you made that decision to buy that property? And so you can't go wrong in real estate, providing you have the correct knowledge, information. Knowledge is power. And I'll say it again, knowledge is power. Ignorance is bliss, but knowledge is power. And if you understand that real estate will make you happy, it will provide financially for you in many ways, then you will understand that one way or another, you want to get your hands on the property. Don't matter how it does, how you do it, get your hands on the property. But in my class, I will teach you the way that you want to do it, the way that you can do it. I will show you as a first-time home buyer how you don't even need any money to buy a property because we have seller assist, we have an FHA mortgage, we have grant money available. You can't do that with an apartment, ladies and gentlemen. With an apartment, you will need first month's rent, last month's rent, and a month's security to move into the apartment. So if it's $1,000 a month for the rental, you're going to need at least $3,000 to move into the apartment. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? $1,000 a month is your rent. I can get you into a $100,000 property with no money out of your pocket, and that roughly will be around the same $1,000 a month. Now, again, I said roughly the same. You're not going to be far off of it. You might be a couple $100 off, depending on your insurance or some other things, but you're going to be right around that $1,000 a month mark anyway. But now it's a house, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom home, a yard, maybe a garage, maybe not. But in any event, you're not paying rent anymore. You're now paying a mortgage, and you just bought this $100,000 property using an FHA mortgage, which we'll talk about in our class, and we'll talk a little bit about it now. An FHA mortgage, you got a $10,000 grant. If you're in Philadelphia, we have still available, it's called the Philly First Grant. And for first-time home buyers, you could qualify for up to $10,000 in down payment assistance. I'll talk about how that works in a second. And also, you can have seller assist. The seller can assist you, the buyer, with some of your closing costs. So therefore, with the FHA mortgage, with the grant, with the seller assist, you can literally buy your first home with no money out of your pocket and monthly payments that you can afford. This is how you go about getting your hands on that property the right way. All right, let's talk about the three that I just talked about: the FHA mortgage, the grant, and the seller assist. Let's talk about these three so that you understand. FHA, Federal Housing Authority. There are really three types of mortgages that you'll be working with in the real estate arena. The conventional mortgage, the conventional loan, where you put a large down payment, preferably 20% or more, the banks would prefer. That's a conventional loan where you have good credit and you have enough to put down, 20% to put down on average. It could be others, it could be 10% and so forth, but on average, just to shorten it up. That's called a conventional loan. Then we have the FHA loan, federal housing, and this is known as the insured mortgage. And what happens is FHA is a government insured loan. The government is not making the loan. The government's not making the loan. The primary lender, it could be Bank of America, TD Bank, your credit union, wherever that you would go to borrow money, that would not be known as the primary lender. And the primary lender will be the one making the FHA mortgage to you. But what this FHA mortgage, you only need 3.5% down. Remember the conventional loan, you need 20% down. But an FHA mortgage, you only need 3.5% down. Why? Why? What's the difference between a conventional mortgage and an FHA? Why is the bank letting you have this mortgage with only 3.5% down and they want 20% with the conventional? What gives here? Well, this is called an FHA insured loan, ladies and gentlemen. And what the government does, the government steps in and says to the lender, listen, if you give Mr. or Mrs. Homebuyer, Mr. Homebuyer, a mortgage to buy their property, even though they're a first-time buyer, even though their credit score is low, even though their income is low and they might not have any savings or checking in the bank right now, no money there, if you give this loan to these buyers, we will insure this loan. So the government is saying to the lender, we'll insure this loan up to 30%. Which means if you give a loan to the first-time buyer and they default, the lender knows that they got your 3.5% plus the insurance policy from the government of 30%. So now they know they're going to get at least 33.5% of the money back. So if they lend you $100,000, they are automatically assured that they're going to get $30,000 plus your $3,500. That's 33. So that's even better than a conventional. Because the conventional, you're putting 20% down. But with the FHA mortgage, the government is insuring the lender 30% rather than 20% with the conventional. So the lender is willing to do an FHA mortgage because they have this insurance policy from the government for 30%. And then after they get their 33.5% return on that 100,000, they will foreclose on the rest and get the rest of their money through a foreclosure auction. And so this is how it works in Pennsylvania, where the bank will give you a loan and place this loan as a lien against the property. And so therefore the property will be collateral, will be security for the loan. So it's a very good system, the way that it's all worked out. So the lender is willing to give you this loan, even though you might have a low credit score. Maybe your credit score is in the mid to low 600 range. We can still get you an FHA mortgage. Let's just say that you don't have any savings or any checking, any money in the bank. You always want to get into real estate, but you ain't got no damn money. Well, with the FHA mortgage, you won't need the money because now we can do stage two. After we get the lender to give us an FHA mortgage, 3.5% down. So you need $3,500 for a $100,000 property. Now, remember, I just said that you need first month's rent, last month's rent, and a month's security for an apartment. And don't we always come up with that for an apartment? Somehow or another, we come up with first month's rent, last month's rent, and a month's security, don't we, for the apartment? So when you say you don't have money, somehow or another, you do manage to put money together so that you can move into an apartment with first month's rent, last month's rent, and a month's security. So in my analogy of $1,000 a month, you manage to come up with $3,000 to move into an apartment. You can come up with $3,000 to buy a house as well, but you don't have to in this situation because now that we need that FHA mortgage and you only need 3.5% down, we can now apply for a grant. And in Philadelphia, it's called the Philly First. Outside of Philadelphia, Bucks County, Montgomery County, these are called Keystone grants and other names. And now, instead of you coming up with $3,500 and closing costs, we can get as much as $10,000 for your down payment and your closing costs. If you're buying a $100,000 property, it's going to cost you roughly $7,000, give or take, just round numbers to buy a property. Title insurance, homeowners insurance, transfer tax, and so forth. So if you're buying a $100,000 property, you're going to need roughly $8,000 for a $100,000 property, of which $3,500 of that would be your down payment. So now you need $8,000, but you don't have it. And again, as I said, you don't need to worry about it. because even though it's going to cost you $8,000 to get this deed into your name, to get the property insured, to get everything that you need to be secured, $8,000 roughly for a $100,000 property. Now, with the grant, the Philly First grant, up to $10,000, boom. And if we only need 8,000, then we're not going to get a $10,000 grant. We're going to get 8,000 because that's all we're going to need in this particular situation. And so the way that the grant works, it's not free money. The city of Philadelphia, in this particular situation, in my analogy, will help a first-time buyer because they would like to produce tax revenue. You become a homeowner, then you become a taxpayer, paying property taxes. And so this is an investment for the city to encourage homeownership so that they also encourage new taxpayers because we'll talk about that in the class, why you pay property taxes, what your property taxes pay for. But that is the government's initiative here to help you become a homeowner so that it creates a new taxpayer. And it's business. So if you want your trash picked up, if you want police service, if you want ambulance, you want fire, if you want street cleaning and all that, well, that's what your property taxes pay for. And so the city would like to have more property taxpayers to provide these services. All right. And so, but the way that the grant works, it's a $10,000 grant, up to 10,000, I should say. And it's not free money. Here's how it'll work. It'll be placed on the property as a second mortgage. You don't have any payments to make. And you have to live in a property for a certain amount of period of time. Let's just say 15 years. Each grant is different. Each grant has a different policy. But let's just say with the Philly First, let's use 15 years. You have to live in the property for 15 years, which means if you live in this property for 10 years, and you bought it for 100,000, but now you're going to sell it for 200,000. That 100,000 that you're making, you're going to have to pay back the $10,000 grant out of the proceeds of the sale of the property if you sell that property within that 15-year period. If you hold that property for 15 years, the 16th to 17th year you sell it, the grant is forgiven. You don't have to pay it back no more. They'll forget it. They'll forgive it. So understand that the way that the grant works, it's not free money, but it's going to help you to buy a property right now because you don't have $8,000 in your bank account to buy the property. So the grant is going to eliminate you having to come up with the $8,000 to buy the property. And now you have the grant money to buy the property. If we still need more money, let's say you're buying a $200,000 property and $10,000 is not going to be enough. In this situation, we're going to need probably $16,000 to buy a $200,000 property. Now we can get the $10,000 grant plus 6% seller assist. And that's another $12,000 that we can get from the seller. So now you can buy a $200,000 property and still have no money out of your pocket. We got up to $12,000 that the seller can give us, plus your $10,000 grant. That's still more than you need to buy a $200,000 property. So now this is the way that you want to learn how to run a real estate business. You want to understand what an FHA mortgage is. It's an FHA insured loan. So the government doesn't make the loan. The bank makes the loan. And the government insures the lender up to 30% if they make this loan to you. This is the government's way of trying to make people homeowners. So the government says we're going to step in and try to help people become homeowners. How do they do that? Through an FHA mortgage is one program where the government is not actually involved in the transaction. The government's involved in the ease of the transaction. And so the government is helping people become homeowners by insuring the lender if the lender makes this loan to you. And now it's more incentive for the bank to make an FHA mortgage because that's better than 20% down on a conventional. We got 30% insurance policy by the government. The third mortgage that we talk about is called the VA loan, Veterans Administration. And what that is called, that's called the guaranteed loan. Government guaranteed. FHA is government insured. VA is government guaranteed. And the lender is told by the government says, listen, if you give our GI this loan to buy their property, we will guarantee their mortgage up to 40%. So it guarantees even better than an insurance policy. And now the veteran doesn't need any money at all to buy a property because of the 40% guarantee that the lender will receive from the government. And this is the government's way of thanking that individual for their services to this country by helping them to make them become a homeowner. I honestly don't understand why our homeless population is so high, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be nothing but fentanyl and the drugs and a choice. Some people choose to live on the streets. They choose that type of freedom. They don't want to be confined into four walls. So some people make that choice to be more natural and live on the streets, and other people are by some kind of an addiction, most likely, caused for them to be on the streets as well. Otherwise, with the right education and the right knowledge, there really is no reason why anybody should be homeless unless we simply just don't have enough property for our population, which is starting to become a problem. And this is called supply and demand. And if you're going to be in any kind of business at all, then you're going to need to understand supply and demand. All right, let's just say that you're a manager at Rite Aid. And as a manager at Rite Aid, your job is to know what's selling, what's selling off the shelves, and what's not selling. Supply, how much do I need to put on my shelves? Demand, how many people are buying this product? And so a lot of managers don't understand their supply and demand because the things that are selling, they don't have in stock. And the things that are not selling, they have stocked. That kind of doesn't make any sense. But this, anyway, in the real estate business, ladies and gentlemen, is called supply and demand as well. Supply is all the available properties for sale. Demand is all those who want to buy those property. And because we have an exodus out of New York and exodus out of New Jersey and new population coming into our country every day, then our population is growing faster than we can build. And so right now we have more demand, more people who want to buy property than we have enough supply. And this is why prices are continuing to climb, even with interest rates going up. So, and that's another thing I'll teach you in a second. But for right now, understand supply and demand. Supply and demand controls everything. It controls the value of your property. Interest rate has nothing to do with the value of your property. Nothing to do with the value of your property. Supply and demand is everything. And as long as there are 4 or 5 buyers for one property, that's going to keep the price going up. And so people are going to bid more than the asking price because they know they're competing with other buyers. And so that supply limited and the high demand is why properties are not going down in price, ladies and gentlemen. You're not seeing what you hear on the news. I don't think there's anything on the media news today, ladies and gentlemen, that has any relevance of truth, any relevance of fact. I mean, it is Mickey Mouse out the wazoo. I don't really hear anything on the media that is based on anything factual. It's gibberish, it's bull, it's crap. Everything for the most part. So I don't know where they get their information, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in the real estate business. My team's in the business, and we are not struggling at all. Real estate did not dip at all, at least not for my brokerage, not for our team. And so, no, I don't know what you're hearing on television or what the hell they're talking about, but it's not based in facts. That's for darn sure. So don't be paying too much attention to the media, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it is really pathetic. And they call them useful idiots for a reason. So be careful about the things that you're hearing. I don't care what it is. I don't care what station you're listening to, what channel, what broadcast you're listening to, ladies and gentlemen, because I'll listen to them all and it's all crap. I don't know where the hell they're getting their information from or their stats or it's all crap. So you want to be in real estate, don't be doing any of these get rich quick seminars, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another thing that I want you to be careful about. Anything that can't call themselves a school. So online real estate school, you can go to the Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs and find my license, see my standing, read my reviews. But if they're not licensed, then they can't call themselves a school. And so you'll see this, investment schooling, real estate schooling, get schooled in real estate because it's a play on words. They can't call themselves a school because they're not. They're not licensed by the Board of Education. They're not licensed by the state. They're not licensed by the Real Estate Commission. They have no license whatsoever. And they can't call themselves a school. So they'll use words like schooling, investment schooling, real estate schooling, get schooled in real estate. And it's a play on words. And so if it's a play on words, don't you think what you're going to be learning from them is a play? Most real estate investment groups, most real estate techniques, most real estate books and seminars are designed to take advantage of your desire, your passion, your dreams of real estate. And they know what you basically want. You want to get rich in real estate. So let's sell them, get rich quick in real estate. Why the hell not? And you can't knock them. I can't mock them. I can't make fun of them. You know, they're going to a market that they know is there. And there are always people in our country and in our society that wants to get to the finish line immediately. You don't want to run the marathon. You don't want to work out. You don't want to get ready for the big, long marathon. You just want to get to the finish line. You just want to get to the end of the book. You just want to get to the end of the movie. That is the way our society is. And because there are so many of these individuals that don't want to put in the time, that just want to get to the finish line, get to the end, well, there are people out there that are going to take advantage of that individual because of their nature, that they just want to hurry up and get rich quick and get to the money real quick. And so those individuals will be easily taken advantage of because they are not willing to put in the time to do what you need to do. Ladies and gentlemen, learning real estate, the best way to learn real estate is through a course that is required by the state. Real estate fundamental, real estate practice. When you take this course, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to receive two different things. One, you're going to receive the proper education. Two, you're going to receive a real estate license or the ability to pass the exam and to get a license. Having a license by the state of Pennsylvania as a real estate professional is an achievement all in itself, ladies and gentlemen. Just having this documentation is something to be proud of. Having a license, you're a licensed professional in the state of Pennsylvania to sell real estate. That's something to be proud of. But this license allows you to earn compensation. You can't practice real estate without a license, ladies and gentlemen. So a lot of these investment groups don't tell you about that, do they? They don't tell you that there's no such thing as a no money down deal. They don't tell you, they make you think you could do a next day flip, buy a property today, sell a property tomorrow. Oh, that is bull crap. It doesn't exist, not in Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. You buy a property, you're going to have to hold that property probably 90 days, depending on the title company and the requirements they're underwriting, before you can flip that deed to somebody else. So there's no such thing as buy a property today, sell it tomorrow, not in this state anyway. And also, no money down deal. Nah, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I told you that you can buy a property with no money out of your pocket. I didn't say a no money down deal. I said you wouldn't need any money because of the grant and because of the seller assist. But that's the consideration. We got a $10,000 grant and we got 6% seller assist. It's not a no money down deal. There is consideration, but this is structured properly. And so if you think that you can go in and work with somebody and they're going to give you the keys to their house and you're just going to make payment to them with no money down, you don't have a legal contract here because there is no consideration. You need three things for a legal contract: date, signatures, and consideration. You ever see a property transfer for $1? That $1 made it legal in the state of Pennsylvania. There was consideration. So if these were smart, they would say how to buy property for $1. not no money down deals or no money or anything like that. So there is no get rich quick way to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I've been doing real estate for about 30 years, ladies and gentlemen. I know I look like I'm only 30, but obviously I'm not. And so I've been doing this for a very long time. And I can tell you that I paid my dues. I have paid my dues. I have made a lot of mistakes because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That individual I told you, that get rich quick scheme individual, that was me. That was me. I certainly was trying to get rich quick, and I have paid a big price. I learned a lot of valuable lessons by the money that I lost, but I did learn as I went along. And fortunately, somewhere along the line, somebody guided me in the right direction, and I ended up going to a college class for real estate. All right, so it's not college; it's a course in a college. And I took this course in a college for real estate, and I failed. I didn't pass it, and so the first time, and so I took the course again, and I failed. And so I'm getting ready to quit at this stage of the game. We're talking many, many years ago, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I'm just not smart enough for real estate. Maybe it's just something I always wanted to do, but I ain't got the capability of doing it. And somewhere along the line, ladies and gentlemen, I said, you know what? You're no quitter. You never quit anything a day in your life. You're not going to quit this. And I did it. I went back to school and then I took the exam. When I took the exam after getting my transcripts from school, I failed the exam twice. I passed the exam on the third try. Little did I know 30 years later where I would be in real estate, where I am today. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, failed, and then finally succeeded, failed, and finally succeeded. And so I got a lot of hard knocks training. I grew up in the streets, been homeless, been rich, been homeless, been rich, rags, the richest rags, the richest. I can write a book. And so I got a lot of journey that I can share with my students in the classroom, and I'm happy to do so. I share courtroom experiences. I share real life experiences. What happened with this deal? What went wrong on this deal? What I did right? What I did wrong? And so my students are able to learn from my hard knocks training and my life in real estate. When I got started in real estate, ladies and gentlemen, interest rates were anywhere from 17, 18, 22%. Now, you're like, never heard of 18% interest rate for a mortgage? Just do a little research, ladies and gentlemen. You will see that there was a time where you couldn't get a mortgage for under 12%, 13%, 15%, 17%, 18%, 22%, and that's high. And that's when I started real estate. We're now at 7%, 8%. And I hear people boo-hoo it. It's 8%. I should have bought when it was 3%. I should have bought when it was 4%. But now it's 8%. I'm not buying. That's a fool's bet, ladies and gentlemen. That's a fool's bet, and you will lose every freaking time. The time that you should be buying real estate is when interest rates are going up, not when interests are going down. You're like, what? That doesn't make any logical sense. Well, maybe that's the problem. You're applying logic, but I don't know what logic you're applying. So when interest rates are going up, ladies and gentlemen, you have less buyers, less competition, which means as a buyer, buying property when interest rates are going up will give you a better opportunity to make a lower offer on a property because so many people are sitting on the sidelines waiting for interest to come down before they jump back in the game. When interest rates are going down and everybody's like, now's the time to buy, interest rates are going down. Now you're competing with 10 different buyers for the same property because all of them are thinking the same way, that now's the time to buy because interest rates are going down. And now you're going to pay more for the property to try to beat out the other 9 buyers. Even though interest rates are going down, you ended up paying more for the property because now you're competing with more buyers because they're all with the same conventional wisdom that they believe buying property when interest rates go down is the time to jump in it when they don't even realize they're going to be paying more for the property. Do you know they did a statistics, ladies and gentlemen? And again, when I talk about the media on television, that's one thing. But when you do your own research, you can find out really much better things. And they did the statistics of the subprime crisis when, I'm sorry, not subprime crisis, the pandemic. And interest rates were 1%, 2% during the pandemic. And when people bought in 2020, 2021, very few were happy in 2024 with the purchase that they made in 2020. They jumped into it because it was a 1% loan, a 2% loan. They jumped into a property. They ended up paying more for the property because they were competing with so many other buyers in 2020 and 2021 during the pandemic when interest rates were low. And ultimately, they bought a property. They probably waived the home inspection. They paid more for the property. And 70% of those who purchased properties in 2020 and 2021 were very unsatisfied with the property when they did the 2023 report. And so we're going into 2024, ladies and gentlemen. And so understand in 2023, those who bought during 2020 and 2021, 70% are very unhappy with the purchase that they made. Compulsive, they jumped into it. They beat out somebody else to get the property. So now interest rates are going up 7, 8, 9%. And you're like, boo hoo hoo. You're missing a golden opportunity. All right. You're missing out when you should be jumping into real estate. I don't care if interest rates go up to the way they were when I first started out, 18%. I could care less if the interest rates go up that way, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll have to understand that interest rates affect only one thing, the monthly payment, your ability to make the monthly payment, but it doesn't affect the value of the property. So even if it's 12% interest, 12%, you get a mortgage at 12% interest, that property is climbing in value, ladies and gentlemen. And so it doesn't matter what the interest rate are, a year, 5 years, 7 years from now, you will sell that property for way more than you paid for it. And it didn't matter about the interest rate. The interest rate only affected one thing, your monthly payment. Did it affect you into the point where you couldn't buy the property because it was more of a monthly payment than you could afford? But it certainly didn't affect the value. You still were going to pay $200,000 for the property, just like everybody else was going to pay $200,000. The question was, could you afford the mortgage payment at 8%, 9%? Just so you can. Chances are you can, and you'll be glad that you did. Now, keep this in mind. Let's say that interest rates are 12% when you buy a property. And 2 years later, 3 years later, interest rates start going down. You bought at 12%, and now interest rates at 9, 8, it's at 7%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can now refinance that property. So let's just say 4 years later, you bought the property at 12% interest. All right. You're sour about it. And 4 years later, the interest dropped to 7%. So you bought at 12 and now it's 7. You bought this property for $200,000 and that was 4 years ago. Today, it's worth, let's say $220,000. It went up $20,000 in equity. You can now refinance this $220,000 property at the lower interest rate, 7%, and put $20,000 into your bank account because you originally bought the property for $200,000, and 4 years later, because interest rates went down, you're refinancing the new value, $220,000. So now you get a lower interest rate, and you now put $20,000 into your bank account. And this would not have happened had you sat on the sideline because interest rate were 12% 4 years ago, and you decided not to buy because interest rates were 12%. You'd be kicking yourself in the butt. So understand, I'll teach you how to invest in real estate, ladies and gentlemen, and watch what other people do and do the opposite. All right. Everybody in their conventional wisdom thinks that they should be buying when interest rates are low or interest rates are going down. Well, since everybody thinks that way, you're competing with more potential buyers. You'll pay more for a property than you should have. If you're smart enough to buy when interest rates are going up, smart enough to buy where less competition is, now you could probably negotiate a better deal with the seller because there's less demand. So now you can negotiate a better price because interest rates are going up and there's less buyers when interest rates are going up. Perfect opportunity. Excellent opportunity to be investing in property if you understand the conventional wisdom and go against the conventional wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. So interest rates can continue to climb for all I care. perfect opportunity to be buying property and getting into nice investment property. And when interest rates go down, I'll be glad that I have my hands on that property and didn't sit on a gate waiting and paying rent all this 4 years and not have anything to show for it in 4 years. And now interest rates are going down. Now I want to buy and I'm competing with all these other buyers and I'll have to pay more for the property. I lost, waiting for interest rates to come down. It was a lose, lose, lose proposition. So understand this, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to be a real estate investor, you want to get into the market, there's a lot that'll go against your conventional wisdom that you don't understand. And so this is what you have to understand when you get into this class. This is going to teach you real estate practice and real estate fundamental. Why does the state require these two topics of education in order to take the state exam? Well, let's talk about it. Real estate fundamentals is going to deal with the laws, federal law, state law, local law, contract law, agency law, fair housing law, discrimination laws. And so there's a lot of laws in real estate. There's a contract, there's deed, there's a procedure. And as a real estate professional, a licensed real estate professional, the state requires you to have an understanding of real estate fundamentals, federal law, state law, local law, fair housing law, agency law, contract law, and so forth. So that's what real estate fundamentals deals with. Real estate practice deals with the difference between a deed, a title, a mortgage, the process of buying a property, the process of helping somebody go from the beginning to the end, the process of explaining the contract to the client. And so real estate practice deals with you running a real estate business, helping a buyer, helping a seller, helping a tenant, helping a landlord, helping an investment. Maybe it is an estate. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it is a wholesale retail. All right, we'll talk about that. But the practice of real estate deals with the business, understanding the process from the very beginning to the very end. That's called real estate practice. And so running your real estate business is really the real estate practice part. So real estate fundamentals deals with all the legal requirements that you have to have a very good understanding about in the transaction. And real estate practice deals with the process from beginning to end, doing it properly. And that is why the state requires that you have an understanding of real estate practice and real estate fundamentals. It's a 75-hour class, ladies and gentlemen. It's not an easy class based on the instructor. Some instructors should not be instructing, in my opinion. I don't think they could teach anything to anybody, but that's just my personal opinion. And other instructors are very, very good. Students really love some instructors and not love other instructors. Not everybody is gifted with the ability to teach, to educate. And I got lucky. I don't know. I never thought I was good at it. I never really wanted to get into education. I didn't think there was any money in education. And yes and no, but it's really a lot of times a labor of love. But in any event, somehow or another, I have a little bit of a gift, and my students find my teaching very, very relaxing, very easy to understand, and very rewarding. And it's a gift for me to see many, many years later the student who was in my class and what they accomplish 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And it always comes back, and it's a very good reward for me to know that they got humble beginnings, they got their start in my class, and from my class, they are where they are today. And so that is my reward. My reviews, ladies and gentlemen, read my reviews. You will hear and read the sincerity in the students and the reviews that they leave. It's one of my greatest rewards, reading my reviews. I wish every student would leave a review. It doesn't work that way. It's a numbers game. But the students that do leave a review, I always love reading their opinions, their feelings, their impression about what they received from the class. And I'm glad that we have this review system so that you can read other students' reviews. See that? It's already 45 minutes. I already got a 7 o'clock appointment. I'm just being reminded that my 7 o'clock appointment is coming up. Jeez, time flies. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so I gave you a little bit of lessons on becoming an owner, buying a property. In my class, not only am I going to prep you to pass the real estate exam, I'm going to teach you how to run a real estate business. I'm going to teach you that there's many avenues you can do. You can go to work for a brokerage. You can go to work for a Fortune 500 company, Walmart, Pep Boys. Well, you can go to work for franchises, Wawa, Subway. You can go to work for developers. You can go to work for investors. You can go to work for property management and do property management. There are a lot of avenues that you can pursue. And none of those avenues would be possible without the real estate license. Once you have that real estate license, ladies and gentlemen, you got a ticket to ride. You'll never be broke. You'll never be unemployed. You won't look for work anymore. Once you have that real estate license, you're not going to look for work anymore. Work will come to you. And so having that designation, that real estate license, is an achievement on top of an achievement. You just have no idea yet what doors are going to open up for you, what roads you're going to take because of that real estate license and the opportunities that'll come your way. So my school is going to prep you for those roads, those doors that are going to open up. I'm going to teach you how to run a real estate business. I'm going to teach you how to invest in property, ladies and gentlemen, how to know the numbers. Is it a good property? Is it a bad? Why am I going to recommend a duplex, the very first investment you should buy? All right, we'll talk about that in the class. I'm going to teach you how to invest in property legally and ethically. Ethics is your behavior. Legal's the law, and ethics is the way that you behave, the way that you perform. And so the Real Estate Commission is designed to protect the public from us, the licensed real estate agents. So the Real Estate Commission's job is to make sure that we are licensed and our behavior is professional and our conduct is legal. So the Real Estate Commission is there for any kind of complaints and to make sure that you are conducting your business in a very, very professional and legal manner. The Real Estate License and Registration Act is the requirement to get your real estate license. So each state has a different licensing requirement, 75 hours in the state of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania has designed a 75-hour class of real estate practice and fundamental. And by the Real Estate License and Registration Act, this law, licensing law, is required to get a real estate license. So in order to get your real estate license, you have to comply with licensing law, take this 75-hour class, get this understanding of practice and fundamental, and that will allow you to take your license, your state exam to get a license. Once you get your real estate license, then the private police department is known as the Real Estate Commission. And the Real Estate Commission will monitor you and make sure nobody's making any complaints and that the public is protected from you, the new real estate agent, to make sure that you are conducting your business professionally and ethically. So when it comes to investing in property, you might be representing yourself. But when it comes to selling property and working with a buyer and seller, you're representing the brokerage. The brokerage represents the clients. We'll talk about that in class. So we have to make sure that we're not putting ourselves and our desires in front of our licensing requirement and our ethical and legal responsibility. So this whole structure is designed to make sure that we're running a business, making nice money, but doing it in a professional, legal, and well-behaved manner. And so the Real Estate Commission is designed for oversight, and the licensing law is designed to allow us to be in the real estate business. And so that's what this structure is all about, and that's what you're going to be learning. So in my class, I'm going to teach you how to run a real estate business. I'm going to teach you how to invest in property legally and ethically. We're going to show you the easy way of doing the real estate math. What's real estate math? Well, that would be prorations, that would be amortization, that would be mills, that would be commission. And so you're going to need to know how to do the real estate math. Not a lot of math, but still math is most weakness with most folks. They're not good at math, they're not good at testing, and they'll tell you that themselves. I'm not good at math, I'm not good at testing. And well, that's really a design planned by the poor schooling system that everybody fails math. Schools do a terrible job. But in my class, you'll actually learn math probably for the very first time, and you'll see that math really isn't that hard. And once you have your three variables, math is going to be easy. So I'll teach you the easy way of doing math, and it's not really hard. And then the last thing that we're going to teach you is memory techniques. And I'll show you exactly how the brain works. You got two hemispheres of the brain, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, which gives us short-term memory and long-term memory. And most people use short-term memory and don't know how to develop long-term memory. But once you learn how to develop your long-term memory, everything that you're learning will be compartmentalized. You'll be able to retrieve it. You'll be able to remember it. Short-term memory, you're not going to be able to remember. And that's why you struggle when you take an exam. I'll even teach you the correct way of making and taking the exam. The correct way of taking the exam is not in the four answers, but it's in the question. The answer's in the question. So learning how to read the question is going to help you pass the exam. And we'll teach you that in this class as well. So here's how my school works, ladies and gentlemen. I am licensed by the state to offer this class. And within this hour, I've only kind of touched a little bit of some of the things that you will learn in the 75 hours, the 8 weeks that you'll be with me. It's 4 weeks for real estate fundamentals, and it's 4 weeks for real estate practice. My school is an 8-week class, still 75 hours, but I don't try to cram the 75 hours in a 3-week program. A lot of schools will try to, and again, as I said earlier, if you're trying to get rich quick and you want to get to the finish line, then you'll think that a 3-week class is the best way to go rather than taking the 8-week class, but you will be depriving yourself of a lot with that 3-week class. And you're going to forget mostly everything, if not mostly everything that you learned in the 3-week class, because it was designed just to kind of prep you to get you to pass the exam. My class is different, ladies and gentlemen. So my classes, I run 2 classes. I have a morning class, which is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 9 to 1, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I also offer an evening class, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday. So whatever class you take, you can take them both if you like, it doesn't matter. But no, it doesn't speed up your 75 hours, it just doubles your education. But let's just say that you're my evening class, 6 to 10, then it's going to be 4 weeks, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for real estate fundamentals. And then the following month, it'll be 4 weeks, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for real estate practice. That'll give you your 75 hours and all the other things that I'm going to teach you in my class. My class is $598, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not the cheapest, nor do I profess to be the cheapest. You ever buy a cheap sofa? You know what happens after you buy a cheap sofa? You got to buy another cheap sofa. You didn't really save any money by going cheap, ladies and gentlemen, so keep that in mind. My class is $598. And the way that I do it is I charge $299 for the first class, which is 4 weeks, real estate fundamentals, and then $299 for the second class, which is 4 weeks. And I did it this way, one, to make it easier for students to sign up and get started. And 2, if you're not happy with what you're learning, you don't have to make the $299 investment in the second half of the class. You only just did $299 investment, and you realize that this is probably not for you. Also, once you pay for my school, once you pay for my classes, you never have to pay for them again. You may come back to my classes again and again and again, anytime you like, free of charge. You never have to pay again for these classes. And so no other school really does that, ladies and gentlemen, not that I'm aware of. My school is live streaming. It's just like you see right now. The only difference is you would actually be in a class. You could be now talking to me. You could be asking me questions, just like if we were on the phone or on a Zoom. And it is a Zoom platform, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to be using in the class. And the reason that my class is live streaming is because my students are throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania. So they're in Pittsburgh, they're in Harrisburg, they're in Philadelphia. And if I had just had a little local school in Philadelphia, how would students in Harrisburg and Pittsburgh be able to come to the local school? They couldn't. And so a live streaming class for the state mandated class is a much, much better platform. And because it is live streaming, I can invite you back anytime you want free of charge. If it was in person and they only had chairs for 30 students, you wouldn't be allowed to come back free of charge because they're trying to always fill up those chairs with the 30 students. So this is a much better platform all the way around. I even run my real estate brokerage through the Zoom platform. All right, that is the way to go. There's a lot of artificial intelligence that you're going to need to know, starting with ChatGPT. That'll be your starting point, and understand how to incorporate AI and live streaming or Zoom platforms into your businesses is going to be crucial. Notarizing. They do notarizing by this. All right. I bought real estate, had to have my forms documented and notarized, and it was right on the Zoom platform. So the notarizer got on there. I showed my identification in the camera. She asked me a few questions, and she literally notarized all my documentation through Zoom. So even notarization, ladies and gentlemen, is using the Zoom platform. And if you're not incorporating a Zoom platform into your future businesses, you are missing out on a lot of business. So I tell you and show you how I use it. You'll be in my class through a Zoom. And if you decide to work with me on my brokerage after your class, we'll be doing a lot of Zoom with our clients and with each other. So a lot of my agents are in Harrisburg, Pittsburgh. I'm located in the Philadelphia area. But so what? My agents in Harrisburg and in Pittsburgh are doing just as good as if they were right here in my office in Philadelphia because of the Zoom platform. No different. So it really does expand your horizon. Okay, so I'm being told that I'm running out of time here. I got 4 more minutes before my next class, 7 o'clock. I got a class after this. So I got to get jumping onto that right now as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I run this free class on Mondays as a courtesy, as a more research for you, the student, to do a little bit more research, to see if my style is conducive to your learning ability, to get to meet me, to kind of learn a few things that you're going to be getting to learn in class and so forth. So I do this for no other reason than to help my future students out to try to make a better decision on which school they would like to sign up for. Now, again, as I said, my next class starts September 5th for everybody. The second portion, this class that I'm in now, we already did our 4 weeks of real estate fundamental. And starting tomorrow, real estate practice, 4 weeks of real estate practice. Some students are smart. They're jumping into the second half of the real estate practice, and then September 5th, they'll do real estate fundamentals because they don't want to wait till September 5th. But if you want to do all 8 weeks, real estate fundamentals and real estate practice from the beginning to the end, September 5th is my next class. If you're wise, as I said, you can come back to my class over and over again, jump into the classes tomorrow and start learning real estate practice. And then next on September, do the classes again, or at least the fundamental portion, and learn what you can, ladies and gentlemen. No other school will allow you to come back to the classes again and again and again. So when you come back to my class the second time, and some students are even wise, come to a third time, don't you think you're going to gain more knowledge and confidence by taking my class again and again, free of charge? So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Warren Nelson. I own this school, which is in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Soon, Scranton will be our next location. I own ISS Realty with my partner, Sam. It's Realty, a brokerage, and all we do is take students from my class and teach them how to do real estate in the field. So my brokerage is designed as a school to teach you in the field how to run a real estate business with the client, with the contracts. And so I run real estate brokerages. I run real estate schools. I'm involved in a lot of real estate, ladies and gentlemen, many other avenues, just the tip of the iceberg. But again, as I said, I would love to be able to guide you in your journey on real estate the right way, ladies and gentlemen. So Online Real Estate School Incorporated.com. Online Real Estate School Incorporated is the name of the company of the school. And of course, .com is the way you can search the website to get some more information. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I am out of time. It was a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you. I hope you enjoyed the show. It will be on YouTube. You can watch it again and again and again if you like. And then I hope to see you in my class. And I would be looking forward to making you a licensed real estate professional. Be safe. Be healthy, be happy, God willing. I'll see you when I see you. Ciao. All right.